Welcome students to a new series on Mrs. Biology. Today we will solve IGCSE Biology past papers, as this allows many more students to benefit from these videos. Today's paper will be the extended paper 2 variant 2 May-June 2023. And remember to make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell to receive new videos like this one from Mrs. Biology. Let's begin. Hi guys, today we will be doing paper 2 variant 2 May-June 2023. Let's start with the first question. Which process occurs both in plants and in animals? Let's think about the 7 characteristics of living things, which we can remember the acronym Mrs. Gren. Mrs. Gren, if you remember, M stands for movement, R stands for respiration, S sensitivity, G growth, R reproduction, E excretion, N for nutrition. We can find here that excretion as a choice is available, but let's have a look. Phagocytosis, you can find it in a single-celled amoeba. You can find it with a certain cells in immune system, white blood cells. So it's not in both animal and plant. Photosynthesis only in a plant, transpiration only in the plant. So the right answer is A, excretion. Let's move to the second question. Some statements about species are given. Which statements are correct? Let's start. First, members of a species all look identical, which is wrong. We have sexual reproduction, so we have variation. That means it's not identical. Maybe they look similar, but not identical. So 1 is wrong. So I will exclude A and B because they have choice 1. 2, members of a species belong to the same genus, and this is right according to the taxonomy. 3, members of a species can produce fertile offspring, which is right. 4, species are named using an international system. International system, which is, if I'm not mistaken, the binomial nomenclature. Binomial nomenclature for Carl Linnaeus, a Swedish scientist. So also 4 is right. Okay, so we need to look at a choice that contains 2, 3, and 4, which is the choice D. Moving to question number 3. Which structures are found in the cells of all living organisms? We have 3 structures. The first one, cell membrane, sure, in all living organisms. Chloroplast, it's only in plants. Cytoplasm, also in all living organisms. So we'll search for the choice that includes 1 and 3, which is C. Let's move on to question number 4. In the diagram of the palisade cell, the distance between X and Y is 20 millimeter. The actual width of the cell between X and Y is 40 micrometer. What is the magnification of the diagram? As we know, magnification, equals what? The image size divided by the actual size. Now, the image size here we have it 20, but you can see the unit different here in millimeter and here in micrometer. We need to change the unit. So the more convenient is to change the millimeter to micrometer. 1 millimeter equals 1000 micrometer. So 20 times 1000, it will be 20,000 divide by 40, both of them micrometer. Okay, when we cancel it, 20,000 divided by 40, that will equal 500. So the right answer here, the magnification, of the diagram should be 500, which means the answer is B. Let's move to question number 5. The diagram shows a root hair cell. When does water enter the cell by osmosis? From the definition of osmosis, the water should move from outside to inside if the water potential inside the cell is lower than the water potential outside the cell. So the water direction will move from out to in. Now let's read the choices. When the concentration of solutes outside the cell is greater than inside the cell, what does that mean? If the solutes concentration is great and high, that means the water potential is low, and this is against the definition. So A is wrong. B, when the concentration of solutes inside and outside the cell are equal. Actually, there is no movement, so this answer is wrong. C, when the water potential inside the cell is higher than outside the cell, and that will make the water move in the opposite direction. D, when the water potential outside the cell is higher than inside. This is the correct answer, so the right answer here is what? D. Let's move to question number 6. Which row shows the changes that occur during the germination of a seed? For seed germination, we need oxygen, water, and a good temperature to have a warm area for hormones activities. Let's start with the respiration rate. Sure, when we have the oxygen, that means the respiration rate will increase. That means A and B are wrong choices. Now, when the respiration rate increases, what will happen with the amount of energy required? Amount of energy required, I mean the ATP. Sure, it will increase. That means C also is a wrong answer. Okay? Now, to make sure again, how ions are absorbed, we all know that ions have a low concentration. So from low concentration to high concentration, that means we need energy. Sure, it will move by what? By the active transport. That confirm answer or the choice D. So D is the right answer. Now question number 7. The diagram shows the human alimentary canal. In which structure is most glucose absorbed into the blood? Very simple and easy. Most of glucose, so you are talking about what? About small intestine. Sure, it's not the large intestine. Large intestine, most of the water and some vitamins. So the right answer here is C. Move to question number 8. DNA contains pairs of bases. Which pair shows a correct combination of bases? We remember the Chargaff's rule or the base pairing rule. Adenine all the time with double bond with thymine, guanine all the time with a triple bond with cytosine. So the right answer here is sure B, C, and G. Question number 9. In which region of alimentary canal is maltose digested? Maltose, it's a disaccharide, came after the digestion of starch from the bread, cereals, sweet potato, whatever. Now, is it in a colon, the large intestine? Sure not. Rectum? Sure, we'll exclude it. So it should be the small intestine because in stomach, digestion happens to protein. So the right answer here were in small intestine. Let's move to question number 10. The graphs show the effect of temperature on enzyme activity. This enzyme has an optimum temperature of 30 Celsius degree. Which graph shows the effect of temperature on the activity of this enzyme? Okay, we have 4 graphs. Let's start with A. Once he's talking about 30 is the optimum, but what we see here, that means the maximum activity of the enzyme. So this is wrong. Here they showed us it's the minimum. When we are talking about the optimum temperature, that means we increase the kinetic energy. The enzyme active site will bind with the substrate because kinetic energy will increase the chance of collides, and they both of them will make the complex. So the first option is wrong. Moving to option B, we can see a constant change. We have to know that optimum temperature, now the activity of an enzyme will increase till it will reach the optimum temperature, and when we keep increasing the temperature, what will happen? The conformational change happen to the active site, and it will start decreasing. And what we see here is a constant increasing line, means here it's not the optimum. You can see the maximum here, even if we want to consider it, okay, is 60. So again, it's not the right choice. Moving to C, what we see here, the enzyme activity, yes, it shows that we reached the maximum on 30 Celsius degree, but it's against that we have the same, it's constant here, which is wrong, because with increasing the temperature, a conformational change will happen to what? To the active site of an enzyme, so that will decrease the activity of the enzyme. So also this is wrong. Now moving to D. D is the right answer. Here, as we can see, the optimum temperature is 30, increasing the activity till 30 Celsius degree, and when we increase the temperature more, the active site will change, denaturation, normal denaturation for any protein, so it will start decreasing. So the right answer here is what? D. Let's go to the next question, 11. The diagram shows a leaf on a plant used in a photosynthesis experiment. At the start of the experiment, there is no starch in the leaf. A piece of a black paper is attached to the upper surface of the leaf. What does that mean? They blocked the sunlight. That means there is no photosynthesis on that area is happening. So no photosynthesis on or in disc C or D. The plant is placed in a bright light for 12 hours. 4 discs are then cut from the leaf in the positions shown in the diagram. The discs are tested for starch. That means if photosynthesis happened or not. Which disc contains a starch? That means which disc did the photosynthesis process. As simple as that. As I mentioned before, C and D, they did not do the photosynthesis. There is no sunlight reach. Okay, now we have disc A and disc B. What is the difference? Disc A in a green area, disc B in a white area. What do you mean by green area? That we have a chloroplast. Okay, let me write it. Chloroplast, which contains the chlorophyll to do the photosynthesis. But the white area, they are missing mostly or very low number of chloroplasts. So the right answer here should be A. Now, moving to 12, question number 12. The graph shows the effect of temperature on the rate of photosynthesis. Fine. Which statement explains the change in rate of photosynthesis between 15 Celsius degree and 20 Celsius degree? So if we just look at it here, this is 15, and here this is 20. That means there's an increase. Okay. Now, A. Chlorophyll is able to transfer more energy in chemicals to energy in light. Sure, this is not a true statement at all and not related, because here we are talking about the temperature, not the chemicals or the energy in chemicals. B. Enzymes involved in photosynthesis have denatured. Why denaturing? Because we are looking between 15 and 20, we can see a progress. So the enzymes still working. C. Kinetic energy of molecules is increasing, resulting in more effective collisions. I think this is the right answer, because the impact of kinetic energy is sure it will increase the movement, which will increase the chance to have more chemical reactions. The molecules will collide with each other. D. Light intensity and not temperature is limiting the rate of photosynthesis. This is against the graph. Okay, so the right answer here is what? C. Now, question number 13. The lack of which component of a balanced diet will lead to the development of scurvy? This is a direct question with direct information. Okay, you should memorize it. And directly, the right answer is C, the deficiency in vitamin C. For example, in calcium, that will make a weakness in the bones, muscle cramps. Iron lead to anemia. Vitamin D, maybe ricket disease in children. Also, osteomalacia in old people. So it's a direct answer. Vitamin C deficiency will lead to scurvy disease. Now, question number 14. Which structure is the duodenum? Duodenum, actually, it's a part of the small intestine, or you can pronounce it intestine. Both of them are a correct pronunciation. Okay, so once we look at this diagram, directly we'll say the right answer is C. Just an information. The small intestine has three main parts: the duodenum, okay, which is responsible for chemical digestion. The second one is jejunum, okay, and this is responsible for the absorption of nutrients. And the last and final one, we call it ileum, will continue the absorption, what the remaining nutrients to be absorbed there. Okay, so the right answer is C. Moving to question number 15. Humidity and wind speed are two factors that affect the rate of transpiration. How do these two factors affect the concentration gradient of water molecules between the inside of the leaf and the outside atmosphere? Okay, so when we are talking about high humidity, that means we have high concentration of water vapor in the air. Directly, it should lower the concentration gradient. So I will cancel the option B and D. So still I have A and C. This is related to high humidity. Moving to high wind speed, does it raise the concentration gradient or lower concentration gradient? Let's imagine we have a cloth and it's not dry, it's wet, and you will fan. What will happen? The high speed of the air, let's imagine it wind, okay, will raise the concentration gradient because the water vapor will dry, okay, evaporate. So it will raise, not lowers. So the right answer here is what? Is option A. Let's answer question 16. During an investigation into the movement of substances in a plant, a ring of tissue containing the outer part of the transport tissue is removed as shown. Okay, the transport tissue, they are talking about xylem and phloem, and the outer part, mostly it's the phloem, not the xylem, because the xylem location is the inner side. Okay, now which statement explains why a swelling develops in the stem? This part. Actually, once they mentioned that the outer and we have a swelling, actually the xylem is in the middle, so the water is still moving. So let's read the options. A. Phloem has been removed, causing a build-up of sucrose and amino acids. Actually, mostly this is right. Let's read B. Phloem has been removed, causing a build-up of water and mineral ions. This is not related to phloem, it's for xylem. C. Xylem has been removed, causing a build-up of sucrose and amino acids. That's a wrong statement because xylem is just responsible for water. And the last option, D, xylem has been removed, causing a build-up of water and mineral ions. Okay, once they removed the outer part and they left the inner part, the outer part is mostly the phloem, not the xylem. If you look at the cross-section of the stem, the anatomy of a stem, you will find that inside the xylem and outside the phloem. So the right answer, so we can cancel also this. The right answer here is A. Let's move to question number 17. The diagram shows the human heart. Which label shows the left ventricle? Again, direct anatomy question. You should memorize the main parts of the heart. Directly, it's B. Why? B, it's the left ventricle. Here, the left ventricle. Here, the right ventricle. Why it's left? You can look at the thickness of the heart that we must confirm and make you sure that this is the left ventricle. A, it's representing the mitral valve. D is the superior vena cava. Okay, so the right answer is B. Let's answer question 18. Which row shows the features of an artery or a vein? Okay, we know that artery will carry the oxygenated blood and it comes out from the heart, tolerating high blood pressure, and the vein taking the deoxygenated blood to the heart with some exceptionals like pulmonary vein and pulmonary artery. Now, before that, let me show you the picture or the figure of the artery and vein and coming back to explain it here and choose the right answer. As we can see here, if we want to compare between the artery and vein, see the lumen here is narrow or narrower if you compare it with the lumen of the vein. And see here the thickness of the blood vessel is higher. We know that to tolerate the high blood pressure, and here the thickness of the blood vessel is thinner. So let's go back and see the options. Let's read the options. Here, artery has the diameter of its lumen large. This is wrong. The thickness of wall is thick. That's right. So the option A is wrong. B, the artery, the diameter of lumen is small. That's right. The thickness of wall is thin. That's wrong. We need it thick to deal with the high blood pressure. So also this option is wrong. C, the blood vessel is vein. The diameter of lumen is large. That's right. The thickness of wall is thin. Also this is right. So C should be the right option. Let's see why D is not the right option. D, the blood vessel is vein. The diameter of lumen is small. That's wrong. And the thickness of wall is thick. That's also wrong. So the right answer here is what? C. Moving to question 19. Cholera bacteria in the gut cause secretion of chloride ions, which leads to diarrhea. Which diagram shows the correct movement of chloride ions, Cl- and water H2O? Let's see. Starting by option A or the figure A, we can see that the direction of chloride ions from outside to inside, which is wrong because the bacteria is inside and the high production, the high concentration will be inside. So the direction of chloride ions is wrong. Even the water direction is wrong. Moving to option B, so A is wrong. We can see the direction of the chloride ions from in to out, and that's right. And what will happen if the concentration of chloride ions outside will increase, which will decrease the water potential outside. So the water start move from in to out, okay? The person will be dehydrated. This is one of the main symptoms of cholera. It seems that B is right, but let's see option C. Option C, again, the direction of the chloride ions is right, but the direction of water molecule is wrong. Why? As we mentioned, now we have low water potential outside. So how the water will go inside? So this is wrong. Let's see option D. The chloride ion direction, okay, this is wrong, even if this direction is right. So again, the right answer here is B. Let's move to question number 20. Different stages in the process of expiration are listed from 1 till 4. What is the correct order of these stages? What are these stages? Rib cage moves downward and inwards. Volume of thoracic decreases and pressure in lungs increases. 3. Air is pushed out of lungs. 4. Diaphragm and external intercostal muscles relax. Let me show you a figure and explain the expiration, then we'll come back to answer this question. As you can see in this figure, inspiration and expiration, but we will focus on expiration because this is our question. As you can see here, look, first of all, the diaphragm and the external intercostal muscle will relax. As you see here, relax. What will happen after that? The rib cage, we have here the rib cage from the both sides, it will go downwards and inwards. That will lead to what? To increase the pressure inside the lungs. Why? Because the thoracic volume now decreases, so the pressure will increase, will lead to what? It will push the air outside the lung. So let's go back to the question in order to choose the right order. Coming back here, and let's order the stages. So first of all, the diaphragm and external intercostal muscles relaxes. So this is first. This is 1. Then we have to move to the rib cage moves downward and inward. This is number 2. Then what will happen? The volume of thoracic decreases and pressure in lungs increases. This is number 3. And the last one, what will happen? Exhalation. Air is pushed out of lungs, so this is 4. So the right choice here is what? Is D. This is the right choice. Let's answer question 21. Which row shows aerobic respiration? As simple as that. Aerobic respiration, it's the process of breaking down glucose using oxygen to release carbon dioxide and water. The main idea is to have energy, production of ATP. So if we just look at the substrates or the reactants in another term and the products, we will find only that the choice D is the right one. Very simple question and direct. Going to question number 22. In which organ is lactic acid respired aerobically to remove an oxygen debt? I will explain it, but directly I will tell you the right answer here is liver. But what is happening in this procedure? After intense exercise, the body accumulates lactic acid due to anaerobic respiration, shortage in oxygen. To remove this lactic acid and repay the oxygen debt, the lactic acid is transported to where? To the liver, as we mentioned here, where it is converted back to what? To pyruvate. In the presence of sufficient oxygen, the pyruvate is then aerobically respired, okay? And going back to Krebs cycle, to electron transport chain, to produce carbon dioxide with water and energy. So again, it's respired where? Inside the liver. Now, moving to question number 23. The diagram shows a cross-section of a kidney. What are the correct names for structures P, Q, and R? Let me take you to the figure and to remind you with the anatomy of the kidney. Here is the anatomy of the kidney. As you see, they were looking for 3 parts. The first part was the cortex. The second part, the medulla. The third part, the ureter. There's a difference, please, between ureter and urethra. At the end of ureter, it's connected with urethra. So let me go back to the question to choose the right choice. Going back to the question, after looking at the figure, what are the correct names for structures P, Q, and R? If we look at R, here, this is the cortex. Where is cortex? We can find B and C. The right choice, B and C. If we look at Q, Q is the medulla. Okay, so where is medulla here? Also B and C. Now, I think P will give the right answer, and P, it's the ureter. Where is ureter? Take care, as I mentioned, there's a difference between ureter and urethra, so the right answer now is what? B. Let's do question number 24. Which statement describes what happens during the transmission of an electrical impulse along a reflex arc? Before reading the four options, let me show you the figure of reflex arc and summarize and explain it to you. Then we'll come back to answer this question. Let's see here the reflex arc. The reflex arc carries message quickly from body part to the spinal cord and back. To take the action. Now, the sensory neuron sends the message to the relay neuron, or sometimes we call it interneuron. Now, if you notice, we have a gap or a synapse between these two neurons, okay? Some chemicals called neurotransmitters are released. Then what will happen? The relay neuron has a protein receptors that will catch and bind them with these chemicals. This binding or this complex will start a new message in the relay neuron to be sent for whom? To the motor neuron in order to take the action. Let's go back to the question in order to choose the right answer. Let's answer the question. Option A. The relay neuron has receptor proteins which bind with the neurotransmitter molecules. This option, I think it's right. B. The relay neuron has vesicle which bind with the neurotransmitter molecules. No vesicles, so this is wrong. The sensory neuron causes receptor proteins to release neurotransmitter molecules. Also, this is wrong. Now, the sensory neuron impulses cause vesicles to release receptor protein molecules. Totally wrong. So the right option here and the right answer is A. Now question number 25. During the pupil reflex in bright light, what describes the actions of the muscles in the iris? Actually, we have the circular and the radial muscles. Let me show you the figure and explain it. Then we will come back to answer the question. Look here at this figure. See the reflex of the pupil for the light. In the dim light, you can notice that the pupil become bigger, wider, and in the bright light become narrower, smaller. What is happening? In a bright light, the pupil reflex causes the pupil to constrict, as we can see here, to reduce the amount of light entering the eye. This action involves the muscle in the iris. These muscles, the circular muscle, as you see, it will contract, and the radial muscle will relax. The opposite if it's in the dim light. The radial muscle contract and the circular muscle relax. Let's go back and answer the question. Now, let's read the options. The circular muscles of the iris contract and the radial muscles relax, and that's what we explained it. But let's see the other options, why they are wrong. The circular muscles of the iris contract, and that's right, and the radial muscles contract. How come? They must be the opposite of each other. C. The circular muscles of the iris relax and the radial muscles contract. That's right, in the dim light, not the bright light. And the question is asking about the bright light. D. The circular muscles of the iris relax and the radial muscles relax. Again, the same action. No, it's wrong, and even it's not applied. So the right answer for question 25 is A. Now, let's answer question number 26. Which distribution of oxygen will cause the shoot tip to grow towards the light? As we can see, the direction of light from this side for all of them, and these circles representing oxygen. Blindly, it's D. Why? Let me explain it. Now, oxygen, it's a plant growth hormone, causes the shoot tip to grow toward the light through process called phototropism. So if we just will imagine, it will bend toward the light like this. I will explain it to you why. When light shines on one side, as we can see here, this side of the plant, oxygen accumulates in the shaded side here. So this is wrong, and this is wrong. Also, this is wrong. Okay, so on the shaded area. Now, this will stimulate the cell elongation. What will happen? this side will be longer than this side. That will make uneven growth, causes the shoot to bend toward whom? The sun, helping the plant maximize light absorption for photosynthesis. And that's it. So the right answer here is D. Let's answer question number 27. What is an advantage of asexual reproduction in a wild population? A. The population has reduced ability to respond to changes in the environment. That's right, but this is disadvantage, not advantage. As you see, they are looking for advantage. B. The population can increase rapidly when conditions are suitable. That's advantage. This is right. C. The population shows a lot of variation. That's wrong, because this is not sexual reproduction. So we will have identical like parents. D. The whole population may be killed by a disease pathogen. This is right, but also this is disadvantage. Let me tell you something. Asexual reproduction allow organisms to reproduce quickly, producing genetically identical. This is a major advantage. Fine, but if we look at A, C, and D, highlight disadvantages. So the right answer here is what? Is B. Let's answer question 28. The diagram shows the structure of part of a flower. The arrow represents the transfer of pollen, this one. Which statement about the arrow is correct? A. The arrow represents cross-pollination in an insect-pollinated flower. Basically, it's not a cross-pollination. Why? Because the male and female parts in the same flower. So this is self-pollination. So A and B are wrong options. Now, still we have C and D. The difference between C and D, as we can see, one, they call it insect-pollinated flower, and one, we call it wind-pollinated flower. You should know the difference. But let me show you the figure that represent these two types of flowers and come back here to answer the question. See guys, flower A representing insect-pollinated flower and flower B representing wind-pollinated flower. As you see, in B, the anther is outside, okay? The anther is outside. So this is called the wind-pollinated flower. So it's easy to be transferred by wind. Here, you can see the anther beside the stigma inside the flower, and this is insect-pollinated flower, when the insects go inside to collect the nectar, okay? To collect the nectar. Now, let's go back and read the question again to answer it. After I showed you and explained the difference between the wind and insect pollinated flower, so the right answer here is what? Is C. As you can see, all the parts inside and the anther inside, not outside, like the wind pollinated flower. Let's answer question number 29. In a sperm cell, which structure contains enzymes that can digest the jelly coat of an egg cell? Direct, simple question. Sure, it's the acrosome at the top of the sperm head. No need to read the rest. So it's acrosome. Please, just go back and learn the main parts of the sperm. Moving to question number 30. The following are involved in a protein synthesis. In which order do they become involved when proteins are made? Let's see. Number 1, amino acids assembled in order. Assembled in order, this is translation. No, this is not the first one. Maybe the last one. Messenger 2, messenger RNA moves to the cytoplasm. 3, messenger RNA passing through a ribosome. This should be before this, 2 before 3. 4, DNA in the nucleus. DNA in the nucleus, should be the first one. Without thinking, this is very clear. So if I look down, I will exclude option A and option B to simplify it. Now, again, who's before who? I said this is the last one, should be the last one. Okay. You can see this here and here. if we want to look at the last one. So where we are now, messenger RNA moves to the cytoplasm. This is red. This is number 2. And messenger RNA passing through a ribosome. This is number 3. So if that's right, 1, 2, 3, 4, C is the right answer, not D. Let's go and answer question 31. A man of genotype IA-IO and woman of genotype IB-IO have a child. What is the chance that the child will have the same blood group as one of its parents? Let's draw the Punnett square and answer the question. Let's draw the Punnett square. Hopefully it will be okay. So the man IA-IO, the woman IB, regardless who's up and left, and IO. Here we'll have A and B. Here we will have B and O. Also here, hopefully you know how to do that. Sure, you can do it. A and O, and the last one, the baby if came, will come with O blood group. Here AB, here B with O over, because A and B are dominant to O. So the chance to have like their parents, as you can see, we have these two, so 50% or half, 1 to 2. So the right answer, 50%, that means is C. Let's do question number 32. A man who has red-green color blindness has a child with a woman who does not have red-green color blindness. The child has red-green color blindness. The man and woman decide to have another child. What is the percentage probability that their next child will have red-green color blindness? Listen, this is a tricky question. Why? Because they mention child without mentioning boy or girl. As we know, the color blindness, it's X-linked. So, and it's recessive. That's why once the mother, I mean the woman, she is not affected, so maybe she has dominant or heterozygous. So I'll assume it as a heterozygous because they did not mention even the gender. Come with me, I will draw the Punnett square, then we will choose the right answer. Okay, let's draw here the Punnett square. As we all know that the color blindness is recessive, let me represent it by small letter B, color blindness, and you have to know the male we have and female. The male gender all the time X and Y, it's already X-linked, and the female X and X. Actually, in the question they mentioned child without mentioning the gender, so it's a little bit tricky. So the male, sure, he is affected, okay, with the disease, so he is carrying the B small. Now the female, okay, B capital, they did not mention that she is carrier or not. So let's assume that she's a carrier. Okay, now let's do the work. Let me put the male here. He has the small b here, the female. Okay, let's do the work. Now here we have the first child. She is not affected even if she is a carrier. This boy, he is not affected, he is normal because he has B capital. This female, she is affected, she has a recessive on both. And this boy and their son also affected because he has the B small. So if we just look at it, 50% of the chance to have affected baby. So the right answer here is what? Is 50%. Now question number 33. Which types of variation can be inherited? A, the key is yes, and this is no. A, yes, that's right, sure. No, the environment, it will not be inherited. Imagine if my skin color changed because of sun. I will never pass it to my son. Okay, B, this is inherited, that's right. Yes, that's right, no. These wrongs. Okay. So the right answer, guys, is B. Very simple. 34. Which feature is a leaf adaptation for living in a hot, dry desert? Hairy, large surface area, many stomata, thin waxy cuticle. C. It is A. Why, miss, you did not choose the waxy cuticle? Because it is thin. It should be thick, so that's why it's wrong. Why I did not choose the large surface area? That means we will lose more water. It's wrong. Many stomata, the same thing. It's wrong. So hairy, okay, these hairs help to reduce water loss by trapping moisture and providing shade to the leaf surface. So this is part of adaptation. Let's move to question number 35. Which term is used to describe an organism that makes its own organic nutrients? Simple and easy. Producers. Carnivore. No, that they are eating other organisms, animals. Herbivore, only eating herbs. Decomposers, that they feed on dead bodies and remains organic. So it's producers. Moving to question number 36. The diagram shows two pyramids based on food chains in which the producer is a large tree. Okay, what do the two pyramids represent? We have biomass or numbers. Simple. See, if we look at normally, we can see the pyramids in this way. It's only a larger tree. That means this is the biomass. This is the biomass because the tree has a huge biomass. The consumers will feed on it. But here we'll start with one tree. So here we are counting numbers. So Q represent maybe consumers, all the birds, all the insects, even a human, okay, can feed on that tree regardless which type of tree I'm talking about. So this is numbers and this is biomass. So this is wrong. This is wrong. What else? Even this is wrong. So the right answer is B. P representing biomass pyramids, Q representing numbers. Now move to question number 37. What is a negative impact on the environment caused by deforestation? Let's read. A. Decrease in land for livestock production. Decreased levels of carbon dioxide in the air. Increase in flooding, or increased levels of soil. Let me tell you something. Deforestation removes trees that normally absorb rainwater and help hold the soil together. Without the trees, what will happen? Rainwater runs off more quickly, increasing the risk of what? Of flooding, soil erosion. Carbon dioxide level may increase, not decrease, since the trees absorb the carbon dioxide. So the right answer here is what? C. Now let's continue. Question number 38. The diagram shows the positions of 4 farms and the concentrations of nitrate at different points in a river. Which farm is likely to have been using too much fertilizer on its land? Let's check here. As we can see, the highest amount of nitrate concentration was here. Okay, and the direction of a flow like this. So farm A. Why farm A? I'll tell you. Once farm A use high amount of fertilizers, it increases the nitrate concentration in river through surface runoff and leaching. So because this farm consumed too much fertilizers and part of it, the nitrate will be released. That's why we have this area with farm B and farm C with high concentration of nitrate. So the right answer is farm A. Moving to question number 39. The diagram shows a bacterial cell containing a plasmid. Plasmid is a circular DNA. What is inserted into the plasmid if this cell is to be used for the production of insulin? Insulin, it's a hormone, as we know, for sugar level. Simple. This is the recombinant DNA. This is biotechnology. Let's read the options. A length of DNA from a human, this is right. A length of DNA from another bacterium, that's wrong. A molecule of insulin, that's wrong. An enzyme, that's wrong. The right answer is A, but let me just highlight one thing. Actually, this is a recombinant DNA. We will cut the certain part of DNA from a human using restriction enzyme, and the same restriction enzyme will use it to cut the plasmid. Then we'll bring that part that will produce insulin in a human DNA, insert it, and recombine it again with the plasmid with the ligase enzyme, then to produce the insulin hormone. So the right answer here is what? A. Let's move to question number 40. Yeast carries out anaerobic respiration. That means oxygen is not available, making carbon dioxide and ethanol as end products. Which end products can be used to make biofuel and bread? Which end product? Biofuel, they need ethanol. So A is wrong, B is wrong. Maybe C or D. For biofuel, it's right. For bread, what help? The carbon dioxide. So this is right, this is wrong. So the right answer here is what? C. Ethanol for biofuel, carbon dioxide for bread. And that's all. We came to the end of this exam. We have now finished this paper. As always, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you can receive the next IGCSE video from Mrs. Biology. And if you have any queries, feel free to leave them in the comment section down below. Thanks for watching.